After a strong advance yesterday, the soy complex posted a downside correction today. That pulled corn prices lower, while winter wheat futures found a way to keep prices grinding to the upside. Lean hog futures made another for the move low, while the cattle complex pushed to the highest level since early spring.
Live from your trusted proprietors of pristine perspicuity via Farm Journal Studios, this is AgriTalk. This afternoon we feature a conversation with Terry Linn from the Linn Group. Directly following the news, Matt Bennett from agmarket.net. I'm handsome newsman Davis Michelson, and now the host of AgriTalk, Chuck Lorre.
Davis, there are times, I understand that you and I sometimes think with the same brain. I get that. Yeah. There are other times that I need a dadgum interpreter to figure out what the heck you're talking about.
Oh, okay.
What did you say there at the beginning?
Well, I just said that we are trusted, basically. That's the main thing. If you can latch onto that one, that's all you really need.
Well, it's accurate, I think.
But pristine perspicuity is really what the people are here for. They are here for clarity. They are here for that, and they don't even know it. That's right. I am here to put words on things that people don't know that they actually are already doing.
Wow.
It's a niche that I've found. Mm-hmm.
That's fantastic.
Yeah.
Good for you.
Well,
Good for you.
Thank you.
I like it when people make success out of things that other people are already doing.
Well, here at the association, we're working very hard, almost around the clock.
Welcome to AgriTalk. I'm Chip. That is Davis.
Hello.
And we are going to have a conversation today with Terry Linn. We're going to talk weather. We've got to talk some weather markets. We've got to talk about not just the weather in the middle of the country that is pretty frightful today, but we've got Australia, we've got Argentina, we've got Russia, we've got Ukraine on the list of things that we're going to talk about. All of Iowa's 99 counties, all of them, every single 99th is in a tornado watch today. Yeah.
Well, that's not good.
Yeah, that extends over into northwest Illinois, southeast Minnesota, even the far southeast corner of South Dakota and the eastern edge of Nebraska. There is one, I believe it is there is one tornado warning out there right now south of Glenwood, south of Pacific Junction, making its way towards Malvern and Silver City right now. So heads up down in the far southwest corner of the state of Iowa. Okay?
Yeah, eyes on the skies, gang.
Yeah, and it's going to get bad. That's the bottom line.
Okay.
This thing, as it makes its way across the state, is going to get pretty gnarly, and it's going to make its way over into northern Illinois as well. Okay. All right, let's get to the news. What do you got, buddy?
Chip, winter wheat futures found a way to shrug off early price pressure to close near session highs. July soft red winter wheat futures closed at the highest level since August 11, with front month hard red winter wheat futures at the highest level since October 9. USDA rated 49% of the U.S. winter wheat crop in good to excellent condition as of May 19, down just 1 point from the previous week. Spring wheat is 79% planted as of May 19. That's 14 points ahead of the 5-year average pace. Price support also stemmed from lower crop estimates out of Russia and expectations of lower wheat exports in the year ahead. July HRW wheat futures 4 3/4 higher, 7.01 1/2. July SRW wheat up 8 3/4 cents to 6.97 1/2. July spring wheat closed at 7.38 3/4, down a half penny. A 7 on the July HRW, Chip.
Yep, plus side of 7 on the HRW. That's a positive sign for that market.
Corn planting as of May 19 stood at 70% complete. That's up 21 points from the previous week and just 1 point behind the 5-year average. Heavy rains in the Midwest will slow progress dramatically this week, but it will be tough to convince traders of the risk of late plantings going forward. USDA this morning announced the sale of 113,000 metric tons of U.S. corn to Mexico, with deliveries split between the old and new crop marketing years, and the sale of 110,000 metric tons of corn to Spain for delivery in the current marketing year. July corn posted an inside trading day with a high range open and a mid-range close. July corn futures 2.5 cents lower, 4.58. September corn down 2.5 to 4.68 1/2. December corn futures closed at 4.82 1/4. That's down 2 cents today.
Yeah, just some consolidation after the strength the market showed yesterday.
Soybean planting as of May 19 stood at 52% complete, 3 points ahead of the 5-year average pace. As with corn, most traders are unconcerned about potential planting delays in the second half of the bean crop. Soybean meal and bean oil prices were also lower today as traders become more confident in supplies originating from South America. July soybean futures led declines and posted an inside trading day with a high range open and a low range close. July beans 11 3/4 lower today, 12.36 1/4. August beans down 9, 12.34. November beans closed at 12.13. That's down 3 3/4 cents, Chip.
Yeah, let's call it a mid to low range close. The market did work up off of session lows into the final bell.
Well, July cotton today was 35 points higher at 76.38. On your livestock's heavyweight choice graded box of beef values got back everything they lost yesterday. On modest movement, solid demand for beef continues to provide support. June live cattle $1.50 higher, 182.97 1/2, and August feeders $1.35 higher today, 259.82 1/2. And on the snout side, lean hog futures continue to drift to the downside. June hogs today 52 1/2 lower, 96.40. Chip Flory.
All right, thank you very much. Let's bring in Matt Bennett, agmarket.net. How you doing, Matt?
I'm good, buddy. How are you doing?
Doing real fine, real fine. So what's your situation over there in Illinois? Everything looking good?
You know, that early stuff looks incredible. We did plant there around Mother's Day and on Mother's Day, and I know that wasn't super popular for everyone in my family, but that corn did make it up. It looks pretty darn good. You know, we just finished up actually today on both corn and beans. Jim, we haven't had these deluges like a lot of you guys in Iowa have, or some folks in Northern Illinois. We've just been wet. You know, we get wet enough that we can't farm. Then we wait 2 or 3 days, then we catch another shower. Well, we've had a really good run here. So I'd say 75% of the guys are done, in our immediate area.
Okay. All right. Yeah. Here at the ranch, just over 5 inches of rain in the last 24 hours. So it is coming down, and we've got more on the way. Okay. Futures market performance. What do you make of it in corn?
You know, yesterday, basically, you tried to get back about half of what you lost last week. 70% it's just 1 point below the 5-year average, but if you take 2019 away, the 10-year average is closer to 80, I believe. So, regardless, you're a little bit behind, but you're not behind like we thought we were. And I do think that, a lot of these folks are taking a look at this market and saying, you know what, it's not as bad as what we thought. Fundamentally, you just got so many stocks that the market just feels heavy to me, Chip. I'm not saying we can't go on up. I think any sort of a weather issue this summer, certainly you could have some up, but everybody knows that subsoil moisture is going to be more present this year than we've had in a long time. And so, a drop type situation may not be met with the kind of buying we've seen in the past few years.
Right. All right, Matt. Good stuff, buddy. Thanks. We'll talk to you later.
Yeah, buddy. You guys have a good one.
Okay. That is Matt Bennett, agmarket.net. Reality right there. It's just with the amount of water that we are putting in the soil and storing away, it's going to make it tough to get a drought rally going in the middle of the summer. We got Terry Linn Group next.
Do you suffer from talking on the radio phobia? No problem. Send us a tweet at #AgriTalk.
Hey, down there in KMA area, Red Oak, Shenandoah, there's another tornado warning that has been issued from just northeast of Sydney, right at Shenandoah, right up to Red Oak, over towards Corning, making its way, well, it's still a ways away from Greenfield, but it's making its way to the northeast. So, boy, the southwest part of the state of Iowa is getting pounded right now. There's severe thunderstorms that are happening further to the north, even up along Highway 20 that are making their way to the east. So heads up.
I can tell you here further south, we're apparently providing a certain amount of heat, humidity, and wind. Very sticky down here. I wonder if we're not providing a little bit of fuel for some of those storms, too. Sorry about that, everybody.
Sounds like it is.
I voted no. Well, I voted no.
Welcome back to AgriTalk. I'm Chip. That's Davis.
Yep.
Let's bring in today's guest analyst, Terry Linn from the Linn Group. Terry, it's great to talk with you again. How are you?
Hey, Chip, doing great. Thanks. Good to talk with you too, always.
Yeah, I'm glad you're here, man. When Chicago type issues come up in these grain markets, and I'm thinking about the fund positions in particular, I go back to some of the conversations that we had years and years and years ago, and how much I learned from you guys and the other guys, Roy, and the other guys there at the Linn Group, and boy, there's some fond memories there. That's pretty cool stuff.
That's right. I've been very fortunate to learn from some very very well educated market participants, and so I've been very fortunate in my career.
Yeah. Well, it's you've passed that on, shall we say, and doing a great job yourself. I want to talk a little bit more about weather, and I want to start off in wheat, because if there is a market that feels like it may be having legitimate weather market feelings, it could be wheat, right?
Well, yeah, you're getting right to the crux of the matter here, Chip. And in a nutshell, I think that you have this kind of myriad of regional weather issues and of varying degrees of significance, of course. And overall, what that's done, it's contributed to a bit of a risk-on attitude led by the wheat market, which historically wheat tends to be the leader. And this has helped to encourage the funds in turn to kind of get less short the ags over the past month and add some risk premium back into these markets, which really was needed. We bottomed the corn and the bean markets, I think it was 3 months ago, and the wheat market shortly after that. And that included the funds building these positions, record shorts, and kind of overdid things as we tend to do. And so we're just kind of getting the pot right here. And we've had some weather here in the United States also that has contributed to some anxiety levels. So we put some premium back on the board. But you're right, wheat has been the leader, particularly in the former Soviet Union, particularly in the south of Russia, where you've had a combination of problems there. You've had ongoing drought, and you've had frost and freeze issues. And so you've hurt that crop. And this follows years of record production in that area. So it's taking what really is a tight balance sheet on exportable global wheat supplies and shaving off some valuable tonnage that had been counted on. So we're seeing the world cash markets firm up, reflecting that, and of course the futures here in the U.S. Doing the same.
Yeah. I've had some listeners, and most of them are wheat farmers that I would attribute these comments to, but they kind of complain about or lament the fact that weather in Russia means more than weather in Kansas to this U.S. wheat market. Well, yeah, it really does, doesn't it?
Well, Kansas is kind of used to dry conditions and drought for multiple years, and this year, there's less of that crop area that is stuck in that really extreme drought condition. Not that there isn't some, that's for sure, but we've in the big picture of the United States HRW crop, things overall are much better than we were a year ago. And we've got a strong soft wheat crop this year as well.
Yeah, again, on the soft wheat crop, that it seems like that crop has been doing fairly well here for a while. Now, it's when we get into Europe, it's not just Russia that we are watching. We've also got some issues in Ukraine. There are issues in other countries in Europe that are also showing up as potential market movers, aren't there?
Yeah, and as you piece together all of these regional weather issues, and whether it's Europe, there's increasing concern over Australia. There's concern in south of Brazil for one reason, and the center of Brazil for another. All these things, as you put them together, kind of merge into a higher level of concern that's contributing to the risk on.
Right. Okay. Let's see. Do I still have you, Terry?
Yes, I'm.
Okay. All right. Yeah, I just want to make sure there is a quick cutoff on my audio. I just wanted to make sure that I still had you ready to roll here. Okay. A couple of other weather issues that I want to talk about. What's the bottom line in Australia?
Well, Australia is kind of a tale of two halves right now, where you've got the west and the south of the country that is dealing with dryness issues. And so it's just one more region to put on the radar as far as the potential to develop problems. And that would be a factor for wheat. It would be a factor for canola. And so canola is something that's also been hurt in south of Russia and Ukraine, and the wheat markets over there also being impacted, and you can include Kazakhstan in there as well. And so you've got several commodities that are having very specific regional issues, and basically just taking some of what had been this big global oversupply story and kind of whittling away at it.
Yeah. So those global balance sheets, obviously, something that we need to watch. You've said a couple of things that make me perk up when we're talking about commodity markets, that being a risk-on attitude, putting premium back on the board. Those are the kind of things that make me think, are the funds ready to get back on the long side of this market?
Yeah, and that's one of the million-dollar questions of the moment. And we're somewhat at a disadvantage in terms of the CFTC data that is outdated by the time we get it every Friday. It's only through the previous Tuesday's trade, so it's somewhat of a backward-looking exercise in trying to forecast the commitment of traders and what the funds might be doing. But I think that we've seen the first stage, which is getting less short. Will the funds decide to go long in any or all of these grain markets? And that's something that you need a story. And, we've got several potential smaller stories that maybe add up to something a little bit bigger. But I don't see any glaring bull story out there that says, they're going to hit the pedal to the metal and now go long 100,000 corn. Not saying that they won't do that or can't do that, but if you're searching for that big gleaming bull story out there that you can grab a hold of, that's still kind of lacking.
Yeah. It seems for the funds to do that, to jump onto the long side of the ag commodities, don't they have to have I think this is the right way of saying it. Don't they have to have a stronger inflationary story than what we're talking about right now?
Well, that's certainly can be a component to the thought process there. That could be something that makes that decision whether to go long or not. I think that there's a lot of factors that funds can look at, and there's different types of funds as well that look at things differently and allocate fund flows at different ways.
Yeah, you're talking about the index funds, I think, the long-only funds. Have there been any adjustments on the index funds that we need to be aware of?
Well, you're right. The index funds operate from a long-only position, and I think that has been somewhat of a subdued stance in terms of the length in the ag space. But that's something to watch for, to see if they want to expand that and see more upside risk in these markets. Okay.
All right. We're off to a running start here with Terry Linn from the Linn Group in the middle of the conversation now. When we come back, we've talked supply side. Let's talk demand side. and what it might do for the markets going forward.
Let's go to the markets page at profarmer.com and check today's closes, where July HRW wheat futures were 4 3/4 cents higher, 701 1/2. July SRW wheat up 8 3/4 cents to 697 1/2. July corn futures were 2.5 cents lower, 458. December corn futures closed at 482 1/4. That's down 2 cents today. July soybean futures were 11 3/4 cents lower at 1236 1/4. August beans down 9 cents to 1234. The November contract at 1213. That one's down 3 3/4. July cotton today was 35 points higher, 76.38. On your livestocks, June fat cattle $1.50 higher, 182.97 1/2. August feeders $1.35 higher, 259.82 1/2. And June lean hogs today 52 1/2 lower, 96.40. Get more at tryprofarmer.com. Opinions expressed on AgriTalk do not necessarily reflect the views of Farm Journal Broadcasting, affiliate stations, or sponsors. Knowledge is power. We're here to charge your batteries. AgriTalk.
Welcome back to AgriTalk. I'm Chip. We are in the middle of a conversation with Terry Linn from the Linn Group. Terry, we spent quite a bit of time talking about the supply side of global and domestic balance sheets in the last segment. Talk to me about demand, and I think I want to start with wheat demand. And the problem here is that I don't know if there's a really even much of a story to tell on wheat demand at this point. Is there?
Well, wheat export demand is not great. You see wheat sales few and far between. We're basically, in a nutshell, uncompetitive to most destination markets. And so we've become largely a domestic market for our wheat. And you see sales off of the PNW of white wheat and quality wheat, but as far as our soft wheat and hard wheat business, we're not doing a lot because we're priced at a premium to the world, and there has been a lot of cheaper alternates out there, particularly with Russia over the past couple of years, where they've had record crops. And they have been pushing it out very cheaply to the world, which has made us it's made it very difficult to compete.
Yes. Okay. One of the bright spots, if we're going to look for those bright spots in the export market, it is corn, and corn to Mexico in particular. What are your thoughts on that relationship that we've got with Mexico? And we've got elections coming up on Thursday. Are there any threats that we ought to be thinking about going into those elections?
Well, there has been talk around for, call it 6 months or so, about the threat to ban GMO corn imports from the U.S. Mm-hmm. And my understanding is that that's simply rhetoric and not something that they would seriously consider. They need the corn. Obviously import quite a bit of it. They've been our number one buyer, and don't expect that to change because of the election.
Okay. All right.
Who's been noticeably absent is China, but they've been absent from most of our export markets, whether you're talking about corn or beans. They have purchased some wheat, but everything's way down, and particularly concerning is as you look out to the next year's crops, where just new crop demand on the export, or new crop commitments, I should say, has been very quiet. And that's something that I think it is in the background of everybody's mind as being a concern that we'd like to see things start to pick up.
Yeah, there's some, Terry, that think that China has kind of initiated a rolling retaliation against U.S. ag products, just simply because they don't like the way that the Biden administration, speaks of the relationship between the U.S. and China. Do you think there's anything to that?
Well, there's clearly an adversarial relationship, and that's not anything new, and it goes back to the previous administration as well. We have seen that the Southern Hemisphere has been able to step up their production and provide a lot of cheaper alternative corn and soybeans to China, which again, you always look at what the Chinese are doing, not exactly what they're saying. And, they're buying cheaper supply from the Southern Hemisphere, and that makes a lot of sense. Yeah. I think the question is what happens as we get out to new crop timing here, where we are the cheapest dog, and will they be there to purchase our products, or is this really going to be a political stance that they have stockpiled what they need, and they're preparing for another round of a trade war? Yeah. That's to be determined.
Right. Yeah. Okay, I got to go back to the supply side here for a moment. The safrinha corn crop in Brazil, what's the latest that you've heard on that?
Well, we continue to watch the weather, and we continue to see that the center of the country is very dry. Now, you've had some rains that have come in and skirted some of the edges and gotten into some of that crop area. But there's a significant portion of that safrinha crop that has been basically since the monsoonal rain shut off, just had very little moisture on it. So it's interesting to see what will happen here with some of the local production estimates, and see if they start to give more of an indication of the impact of that dryness. But we see it in the weather forecast. As far as boots on the ground, we're kind of waiting for confirmation of some sort of trend in that production, if we do have a more serious problem, or if they've been able to get by on the existing subsoil moisture, because they had a really favorable profile coming into the end of the monsoonal rains. But since that point, they've been awfully dry. Okay. The fortunate thing is that temperatures have not been excessively hot.
Okay. It's always a good sign. I mean, it was a great sign for the corn crop in the U.S. last year. There's no doubt about that. So we had a few really hot days that the corn crop had to suffer through a year ago, but for the most part, not so much. Back to the demand side and the domestic market. And I want to talk about a couple of things that both kind of go around the biofuels markets. But let's start with corn demand for ethanol production. What are your thoughts going forward?
Well, corn demand for ethanol production has been very healthy. We pretty well agree with the USDA's forecast for ethanol usage on the year. Don't have any objections to that, and I think that the data that comes out from the EIA kind of justifies that. So we don't really have any major objections there. As far as policy goes and what happens in terms of sustainable aviation fuel, of course, there's a lot of politics that are tied to that, and we'll have to see how that goes. But it would be very, very beneficial for our corn market and for our demand if we could make that program a little bit more accessible and navigable for the farmer as well as the commercial.
Yeah, the policies that are in place right now, on one hand, they support biofuels. On the other hand, we look at all the push behind the EVs and so on, and it feels like it does not support biofuels. Let's go. I mean, there's a lot riding on the election this fall for the biofuels market and corn demand, isn't there?
Well, yeah, that's the nature of a subsidized marketplace, is that depending on the which direction the wind is blowing politically, that things can change quite a bit. And so, from this chair, I think that just in the best interest of our domestic market and to support the farmer and our demand base, it would be great to see a more favorable policy going forward that would support that.
Yeah. Okay. Soybean crush. A terrible April. Terry, where did that come from?
Well, yeah, that was an interesting report. Now, April seasonally, first of all, is a downtime for maintenance that's planned ahead of time, and so the market was forecasting a slowdown in crush. But what we got was just a obviously well below. I think it was something like 17 million bushels below the average trade guess, and so it was a sharp slowdown, and that somewhat reflects the reduced crush margins. And the question is this the start of a new reality that is kind of abandoning these record monthly crushes and expansion going forward, or is this an aberration? And time will tell. My opinion on that is that it's going to be somewhere in the middle there, that yes, this industry has growing pains that it needs to get through, but there still is going to be a market for renewable biodiesel that is going to support a much larger crush than what we're accustomed to. But there can be some fits and starts here as the industry gets through these early growing pains.
Are we still looking at domesticating the bean markets? You know, you go back 18 months ago, and I was all in on that conversation, Terry, that the bean trade is going to be for the domestic market first and soybean oil production so that we can put it into the renewable diesel. Yes, we're going to have to deal with the soybean meal, but that'll be our export market, not soybeans. Is that still a longer-term trend?
I think so, Chip, and I really hope so, because it's such a compelling case that's a win-win for everybody. One, you don't have to rely on a adversarial trade partner like China that comes and goes and can leave you lurching and holding the bag with the excess supply based on a whim. And two, you're creating cleaner burning fuel and more fuel that's being produced by the American farmer. So it's a win-win all around. But again, there's going to be some speed bumps as we kind of continue to move that direction.
I love that. Good stuff, Terry. General attitude towards risk management in corn and soybeans. Are rallies for selling?
Yes. We have seen what these markets look like recently when it looks like they're headed to zero. And we've had a nice recovery rally off of those lows. And for the producer, the name of the game is to shed risk, and the risk is prices going back down, and there are still reasons and justifications for prices to head back lower. We're having a nice spring rally. These rallies can carry a little bit further than you think, but they also can end suddenly. Yeah. And so we're moving quickly towards June days, and the clock could be ticking. If everything goes well from here on out, the downside risk in these markets will expand.
Good stuff, Terry. Man, I enjoy these conversations. Thank you so much.
Thanks for having me, Chip.
You bet. Terry Linn, the Linn Group, here on AgriTalk. Wow, good conversation with Terry. Lots of good information there. Davis and I will be right back.
Chickens have come home to roost. Find out whose fence they're perched on today on AgriTalk. And welcome back to AgriTalk, everyone. I'm so glad that you've opted to spend some time with us. I know you've got options. I know you're busy. Thank you so much for carving out some time for Chip and I. Chip is here. You know, if he could speak, he would probably express similar sentiments. You know, gratitude is what it would be from the guy.
Right.
You know, you're talking about the weather there. I pulled up a weather map as well. Here in points further south, it looks like Tongi is getting a little bit of rain. Just rain there. But Leavenworth, Kansas, I'm looking sort of right where 73 crosses the river there. You're under some yellow-red stuff there. Look out. Platte City, and then we're into Smithville, and I'm looking up to track, I don't know, northwest or northeast, I would imagine. I mean, I did take a weather course at UNI, the University of Northern Iowa.
That's right. Look at that look at that cell further south, too.
Oh, yeah.
Over Neosho Falls.
Yep.
I mean, that one, people better keep an eye on that one.
Yep. Well, we got a little bit down here, Fort Smith, Arkansas. I'd be looking out. At least check your weather app. Fayetteville's getting wet. Yeah.
And then in the state of Iowa,
further north,
they've modified it a bit. It's not as bad as it was just a few minutes ago, even. But that storm system from the southern part of the state where there are a couple of tornado warnings in place. Villisca, you're under the gun right now. It's just northeast of Red Oak and just northeast of Essex. So, yeah, heads up. Heads up down there. There's a couple of tornadoes that look like it is on the ground. And then there are thunderstorm warnings all the way up to Highway 20 from there. Get up to just south of Sac City. And then above that, we're also looking at Spencer and Spirit Lake area, also under a severe thunderstorm warning. They've been talking about this risk for 3 days, something like that. Been pointing it out and saying that conditions are going to be ripe for exactly what is happening to happen, and here it is.
Yep.
It's going on.
Well, and here's something that I like as I'm looking at the weather map here about the northern half to almost 2/3 of Minnesota, clear up to the Canadian border there. Looks like some heavy rainfall. I'm not seeing a whole lot of spooky stuff as far as like the red and yellow colors go there.
Right.
Again, check your local weather. Don't go by me. Check your local weather, Minnesota. But dude, we're getting rain up at the headwaters of the mighty Mississippi. Huh?
Yes, we are.
There's something I haven't said in a while.
That's right. And the Mississippi is looking good right now.
Good.
I would imagine that with everything that is happening, we're going to turn it back to the upside. It was starting to stabilize. But, boy, if it could hold steady where it's at right now, it would be really good for those pushing barges around out there on the Mississippi all summer long. I don't know if we can do that or not. I hope we can, but it sure looks good right now.
The crappies shut off yet?
No.
Still going.
That's all I'll say to that.
All right. Okay. You don't have any agri maps you want to put up on X or anything like that?
That, and they are delicious. I will add that.
Num.
Nummy.
That was a great conversation. Matt was good. Matt Bennett from agmarket.net. And then, of course,
Absolutely.
Terry Linn from the Linn Group is always fantastic. Lest we run out of time here, I kind of pulled out some themes, dude, and I don't like them. Cheaper alternatives.
Listening.
Cheaper alternatives. Let's not even say cheaper. Other alternatives to American stuff. We're too expensive on wheat. We just cannot get competitive on wheat. South American corn and beans. I wonder how long this condition lasts. Could this be the year that it finally sticks? And we really, now suddenly, okay, well, we'll fill in until Brazil, again next year type of a thing. And then we've got Brazilian ethanol. Their stuff is better than ours. It's easier for us to use that to make SAF.
Well, it's cheaper.
Cheaper alternatives, dude. They're killing us.
Yeah.
I don't know how we fix that without shirking the producer. You know what I mean?
Yeah, right. The higher yield, the higher yield of ethanol per acre or hectare when we're talking about making it from sugarcane versus corn, the comparison is pretty difficult. But it's
all about the green scoring, right? Isn't that what it is?
Exactly. It's about the green scoring, but it's also about how much fuel you can make per acre, just on a gallon basis. Okay? And the sugar content is what's going to determine that. Well, there's more sugar content in sugarcane than there is in corn. And it's that pathway to sustainable aviation fuel is one that we want to see corn-based ethanol on. There's no question about it. But the issue now is that they're just looking too much at gallons produced per acre instead of also looking at what was done to that acre to produce that gallon.
Right.
Okay, where did that acre come from in Brazil?
Mm-hmm.
What was it converted from?
Mm-hmm.
If we're talking about locking up carbon for a long period of time, well, they're busting some ground up that had carbon locked up.
Oh, geez.
I don't think there's any even if it is cerrados and pasture ground, it is still a situation where it is new ground that is coming into production in Brazil that is creating some of the issues out there.
Is that something we can grow here? Yeah, just real quick. We don't grow sugarcane here at all?
Louisiana, I saw it being. I saw it. They were harvesting it last November when I was there.
Yeah. Okay.
So, all right, below normal temperatures in the middle of the country: Iowa, southern Minnesota, southeast South Dakota, eastern Nebraska, eastern Kansas, Illinois, Indiana. Around that, looking at near normal temperatures for May 27th through the 31st. We've got below normal precipitation expected North Dakota, most of South Dakota, Minnesota, western Iowa. Near normal precip over the rest of the country. All right, we got a farmer forum tomorrow morning here on AgriTalk.